So, Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Here's the newly arrived Necron Overlord for the last stand. Uh, we have been waiting for this guy for some years, and it was released as the last DLC from Relic 10 days ago, the 10th of March, and it has been free for first 5 days. Now it's around 10 euros, you can buy it. It's pretty expensive, but in my opinion it's worth to take it. It's a really strong hero for last stand. Of course, if you like that mode. If not, you're not going to buy it, of course. And it's both can be both melee and range. In my opinion, it's more funny to use it in melee or melee, as you like to pronounce that word. And now I'm going to use this set with the Doomsday Edge. It's a very strong melee war gear. I am level 20 by the way, so I have access to every item for the Necron Overlord. I'm going to use as armor the Diadem of Nimensor, which grants the Combat Expert trait, 30% more melee and range damage, but the Necron Lord is only at melee in this moment. Despite having free hand, it's considered a two-handed weapon, this Doomsday. I'm going to use the Glyph of the Living Metal, the Glyph of the Star Gods, and the Phylactery. They grant me plus 90 health, plus 3 health regeneration, plus 1.7 energy regeneration, and the Impervious trait, which gives me another life once I reach 0 health, and another 80 energy. But this trait cannot recur for 30 seconds after I've burned my first life. As a commander item, I'm going to use the Labyrinth of the Nightbringer, which grants me the Nightbringer ability. Very powerful ability, maybe the strongest ability in the last stand for damage output. And yeah, we'll see how it performs. Okay, I got this team, and now I'm going to see you in game. Here we are. A little bit of luck at the start. Should go away after a few seconds. And now I'm going to perform my main ability for the the ability for the Doomsday Edge, which is the Pitiless Strike. Provokes a ring of explosions around the Necron Overlord, like this. Very effective against light infantry or heavy infantry, less against vehicles unfortunately, but can still do some good damage, especially if you hit a tank in its rear armor. Actually, I wasn't paying attention, but Ramsey is my friend list, so he's should be able to do his job, since he's level 23 elite as well, and he has the Nightbringer too, as you can see here. It's this sort of ghost, deadly ghost with a sight in his hand. Provokes heavy damage in its area, and not only that, it has a trait which allows him to drag enemies around him in its area, so it's similar to the orbital bombardment, which traps around the units in its beams. I'm gonna quick reply to my friend. Maybe I should stay with the Imperial Guard since it's more vulnerable than us. Yeah. Going to help him, but don't think I'll be able to save them. Yeah. Luckily for us, still. As you can see, the Pitiless Strike is very effective against the infantry. And it's there's a reason for this, since the Doomsday Edge has a pretty long cooldown for a melee weapon, and has good damage in melee, but many other melee weapons of the Necron Overlord make more damage than the Doomsday. So this ability is really needed to take down groups of infantry pretty fast. The Imperial Guard has some Catachan's Devils and an anti-vehicle turret which makes knockback to enemy infantry. Now I'm going to... no, not yet. Soon to use the Nightbringer. Usually it's better against mobs of enemy infantry, which we don't have yet. I still have around 40% damage mitigation with this set, which is decent. Nothing great, to be honest. The Necron Overlord can easily reach over 70% of damage mitigation, which is insane. Probably the highest among every less than hero. Maybe the Hive Tyrant can reach that level with its heaviest armor. And this set is a little bit vulnerable to range fire, as you can see. 3-4 groups of guardsmen with their last shots can easily dent in my armor, but the greatness of the Necron Lord is that he has good health regeneration, so if you hide a little bit behind this tank or behind a rock, you should be able to regain your health pretty quickly. Many other heroes cannot do this. For example, the Hive Tyrant, which is another tanky hero. In my opinion, the Doomsday Edge is not the best melee weapon for the Necron Overlord. By common sense, it's considered the White Reaper, simply because it's the weapon with the shorter cooldown, so it's going to perform more attacks than any other weapons for the Necron Overlord, and has a considerable amount of damage as well. Almost every Necron war gear has a good damage, except for maybe the starter, few of the starter war gears. My friend has the Spear of the Annihilation, which grants that sort of lightning barrage ability. Very good against infantry and light infantry. It's actually, the Spear of Annihilation for me is the range variant for the Doomsday Edge. And I'm not staying enough with this Lord General. I'm going to cast the Nightbringer now. In order to kill fast these tactical marines. As you can see, the Nightbringer not only makes hell of a lot of damage, but also suppress enemy infantry so they cannot fire, which is great. It has of course a short duration. I think it's 10 or 15 seconds, 10 seconds maybe. And unlike many other heroes, the Necron Overlord variants at range can still defend themselves in melee. Still very good in melee, even with a ranged weapon. Of course, he doesn't have access to minions like Catachans or Gene Stealers for the Hive Tyrant, nor make a clone like Sorcerer or the Dreadnought for the Space Marine Captain. Hence it's very strong in any department. Compared to my ability, I think the Spears 1 has a longer cooldown, so it's better to use it paired with the cooldown reduction item. Now he's performing the Nightbringer on this blob of stuff. Good choice, despite it being just light infantry. It's a reliable way to clear fast an area. One of the Necron Lord weaknesses, it's the fact that he lacks area of effect damages, so can be a little problematic if you're surrounded by many units. You're going to make a lot of damage, but only against single entities, so it will take a while to clear them off completely. Hence I really like to use this spear, or actually this weapon, the Doomsday, over the Void Reaper, because the Void Reaper does great damage, but just on a single entity. And of course, the Necron Lord can perform special attacks, as you can see. That sort of basketball jump. Yeah, the Pitiless Strike mimic this special attack animation. Maybe we'll see the Sir Council, yeah, suppressed by the the Nightbringer. Sir Council is still not fixed. Still has that leap which knocks back even commanders with unshakable trait. And I forgot to mention, the Pitiless Strike not only does explosive damage around the Necron Overlord, but also stuns enemy infantry. So even if you survive its ability, the enemy infantry will not be able to attack the Necron Overlord for a short duration, since it's stunned. Very good against Terminators. And in my opinion for this, the Doomsday is superior to the Void Reaper for fighting Terminators. Yes, the Void Reaper can rip off their armors, making them more vulnerable and making them take more damage, but you are still going to attack single entities, so the stun is very great for Terminators. Still haven't performed the Nightbringer single time. The Nightbringer does my apologies, had some technical issues trying to resume from where I left. Had to leave the previous game, so I'm in a different team now. This is a different game. With me is a Nork MacBoy, Balsagot, and Pete, the Vengeful Ace, with another Necron Overlord, using the range weapon Staff of Pharaon Staff, which is the most damaging range weapon for the Necron Overlord. Very good one, in my opinion. Hopefully we are going to make it. Unfortunately the MacBoy is a little bit vulnerable. Should be careful with him. And when I was interrupted, I was about to say the Nightbringer does good damage even against vehicles. Less of course than the one does to infantry, which is almost a constant for the Necron Overlord. Most of its weapons damage, or rather its abilities damage more infantry than vehicles. Hence you can understand the really high damage of most of its weapon against single entities. It's obviously to take down vehicles fast. Well, the Doomsday Edge paired with the Nightbringer, it's a good combination to take down groups of infantry, or rather groups of enemies fast, which is one of the problems for the Necron Overlord. But one of the weaknesses of the one of the downside of the Doomsday Edge is the fact that it doesn't grant you the Fearless trait, which gives you suppression immunity. So I'm vulnerable to suppression with this set, not just vulnerable to range fire in general. And this may be a problem, especially against Imperial Guards. But the only Necron Overlord weapon which grants you the Fearless trait is the Void Reaper. So unless you use it, you're always going to be suppressed sooner or later. And this is also why the Void Reaper, in my opinion, is the best weapon for new players, or in general low level Necron Overlords, since it does give you both suppression immunity and the unshakable trait, so you are literally unstoppable. You can walk around under every type of fire and nothing can stop you. The problem is you are not going to take down groups of infantry or enemies fast, and this is why Void Reaper is usually paired with the Immortal Reclamation, which mimic the sort of Hive Tyrant Miasma, but you also gain regeneration. Fortunately, the Necron Overlord special attack stops the usage of its abilities. So sometimes when you want to use your ability, you can't, since it's performing a special attack. Raid guards are really a problem for range Necron Overlord, since they will suppress him really fast. It's not really a problem about the damage, since their damage is not that high compared to the multiplayer, but the suppression effect is a problem, since at that point the Avatar Arcane would be able to reach you and take you down with its sword, which does most of the damage in this wave. Still, even the Fire Prism are a problem for range Necron Overlords, since they don't have the Unshakable trait and they will be bounced away from Fire Prisms. In fact, in general, I think Eldars are the most threatening among the enemies for the Necron Overlords. Wave 17 can be a problem if you have a full team of range Necron Overlords. And also, one of the good thing about the Doomsday Edge, its stuns affect even the Great Unclean One and the Limarasa's tanks. So it has a great effect against them. The stun is really useful, also defensive ability.
This is it, you maggots. We'll bury you here.
I casted the Nightbringer over the Baneblade. Should be able to finish him off, I think. Yes. By the skin of its teeth. And also the Baneblade is a problem since its main battle cannon can't suppress you, so usually a target you would take down fast. As the Necron Overlord, many other heroes should instead target first Stormtroopers since they don't care much about suppression and should prioritize more the damaging units like these Stormtroopers. This is the last wave with Gabriel Angel setting its Terminators.
Scorch the earth and all who stand upon it. Let the earth tremble at our approach. Let them fear us, brothers.
Yeah. The other Necron Overlord casted the Tesseract Tomb in order to stun the Terminators. Good move, since he's pretty vulnerable to melee damage. Fortunately, the Pharaoh stuff is one of the range stuff which grants you the least damage output in melee. Still decent, of course, but there are better stuff for this. And I casted the Nightbringer over the Land Raider. It's really a threat with his multi-melta beam. And now we should prioritize the Predator tank since the range variant of the Necron Overlord is vulnerable to its shots, since they do knock back here. Here you see the Immortal Reclamation going pretty slowly since there are not many units around him. Still increases your basic regeneration, but nothing special if you are not surrounded. You shouldn't be able to survive under, for example, vehicle fires. We did it, even with a decent score, I think. GG. So this is the Necron Overlord, pretty strong hero, both at range and in melee. Probably the strongest hero for Last Stand now, paired with the Tau. And it's really fun to use. I really recommend it to buy this DLC. Thanks for watching.